For almost every species on Earth, death is a singular physical event. A body stops moving, the group reacts, the danger passes, life continues. But at some point in prehistory, early humans experienced something entirely different. They stood over fallen tribe members, trying to make sense of it. The person had not physically vanished. The face remained perfectly familiar. But the invisible energy that animated them, their voice, their warmth, their intention, had disappeared completely. These early ancestors lived in a true vacuum of understanding. They had no medical language, no religious frameworks, and no concept of an afterlife. This created an overwhelming psychological conflict. The human brain is specifically wired to constantly scan other human faces for emotion, movement, and recognition. When a dead body broke all these natural expectations at once, it forced a terrifying conclusion. Death did not look like biology. It looked like an invisible disappearance. Eventually, humanity developed symbolic thinking. The human mind evolved the ability to imagine things that were not physically present: memories, futures, and stories. With that new mental ability, the motionless bodies of the fallen suddenly provoked deeply disturbing questions. Where did the person go? And more importantly, will they come back? The answer to that last question seemed to arrive in the dark. Days after watching a loved one stop breathing, early humans would see that same person vividly walking and speaking in their dreams. This diagram illustrates the cognitive trap ancient humans fell into. On one side, they observed the physical reality of a buried body. On the other, the deceased appeared alive in a dream. Without modern neuroscience to explain that dreams are internal mental projections, early humans likely interpreted these nightly visits as literal physical events. To resolve the conflict between a buried body and a living dream, the human mind made a logical leap. If the dead continued to appear at night, some invisible part of them had to survive beyond physical life. Early global beliefs in spirits and afterlives provided a vital psychological framework. They solved the terrifying paradox of dreams and disappearance by giving the mind a way to categorize the missing presence. And that disappearance happened constantly. Ancient people lived surrounded by predators, harsh weather, starvation, and disease. Death was an open, frequent part of daily life, but constant exposure did not numb the pain. Modern neuroscience shows that because humans are deeply social creatures, the brain actually processes social isolation and grief using the exact same neural pathways as physical bodily injury. In small nomadic groups, every individual was a pillar of the community. Losing a hunter, toolmaker, or parent shattered the group's stability and directly threatened their collective survival. To cope with this overwhelming physical and social trauma, humanity invented a powerful behavioral response. We created the burial ritual to impose a sense of structure onto the chaos of loss. This timeline maps the archaeological emergence of deliberate burials. Look at the specific grave goods appearing tens of thousands of years ago. Bodies began to be carefully placed alongside pigments, tools, and even flowers. These objects prove a major cognitive shift. Humanity had stopped treating bodies as disposable biology and started treating them as symbols of permanent memory. Ritual gave humans a systematic way to process their grief. It offered a feeling of control and ensured that the dead remained connected to the living. Then came the ultimate realization. As early humans watched their strongest hunters and wisest elders succumb to permanent stillness, they slowly recognized a pattern. If death happens to everyone else, it will inevitably happen to them. For the first time in evolutionary history, our ancestors encountered a problem they could never outrun, fight off, or outsmart. The human mind desperately sought ways to manage this terror. Religion offered continuity. Philosophy sought meaning. Science hunted for biological cures. Entire civilizations built monumental architecture to leave a lasting mark on the earth. And on a personal level, humans began painting cave walls, passing down oral histories, and raising families. Storytelling became a way to keep actions and voices alive across generations. That ancient psychological reflex remains perfectly intact today. Even now, modern humans fear being forgotten, almost as intensely as they fear death itself. Yet despite the dread of an inevitable ending, humanity kept moving forward. They continued to love, laugh, and build communities under vast, dangerous skies. Because if life lasted forever, time would lose its urgency.